Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the NFC North Roundtable. Now, right before I let the guys in, I do want to let everybody know that we are officially now on audio. All right, folks, I have pinned the Spotify link right at the top of this chat. If you guys rock with this show, and if you could do us a giant favor, roll on over there, follow us, give us 5 stars. That would mean the world. We have a lot to unpack today, including recaps from week 8, also previewing all of the games in week 9. Super excited to dive into this, but let's welcome in all of the members, starting off with the basement, unfortunately, our good friend, Nick. How you doing?
Well, Dan, I would be lying if I said I was 100% good, but it's a new week, a new opponent. We put it back behind us, and me being a Bears fan looking for the positives, we were twice as worse last year at this time. So team's progressing. That's all I got to say.
That's good, man. That is the glass half full approach. I absolutely love it. Third place, formerly first place for a very long time. One bar. How you doing, man?
2-game losing streak. Not great. Not great. We got the Colts coming up Sunday night. Vikings just laid a complete egg on against the Rams. So it's not a fantastic week. Plenty to talk about. I mean, there's still a lot of upside here. 5-2 in third place is insane to me, but this is a damn good division. So let's break her down.
Absolutely insane. Second place coming on in, Malik Willis being the superhero once again. Bass, what's up?
My bad, man. Usually I like to say Hail Mary before the game, so just get that out of the way. But we're doing good. I've been waiting all week. We're good, man. Second in the division. Gutekunst made a great move with Malik Willis, and it's keeping us alive. He's 6-2 with a backup quarterback playing 2.5 games. I don't think many other teams could say that, so I'm feeling good.
Shots have been fired already, folks. You know you're in for a hell of an episode of the NFC North Roundtable. Please smash that like button as we welcome in first place in the division, hanging 50 points on the lowly Tennessee Titans. Dose of Dion. How you doing,
bro? That was so disrespectful. That was unnecessary, Bass. You know what I mean? It was so unnecessary. But like you could see. Look, man, the X chat immediately after the game was like, okay, this is how this is going to go. This is going to be a mess when we get there. That being said, though, hey, it's good to see you here, Dan. I was watching it, just get on, just kind of cook the Miami Dolphins today, so that was enjoyable.
Thank you.
Man, I'm fired up, though. Yeah, 50 points in the weirdest way possible. I'm excited.
Yeah, guys. And listen, we are very excited to unpack all of these games. And as I have mentioned time and time again, this is the most competitive division in all of football. We always see a great representation from each and every single fan base. I'm still seeing Vikings fans in here. I'm still seeing Bears fans in here. So we are on pace for a hell of a season. Maybe even 4 teams from the division make the playoffs this year. Who knows? But I have to remind everybody that this show is powered by BetUS, folks. BetUS, hands down, the #1 sports book on the face of the planet when it comes into everything and anything sports betting. And we're talking over-unders. We're talking player props. We are talking the absolute whole 9. And when I say that this division is very, very competitive, folks, I'm just going to give you a little taste of what BetUS has for the winners of the NFC North. You just go on ahead, you scroll down a tad, and then here we are. The Lions currently are sitting. Let me go on ahead and get this real fast. Sitting at -140. Favorites to win the division, followed by the Green Bay Packers at 325, Vikings at +350, and the Chicago Bears at +1,600. So if you
pound it.
Oh my God.
So
make some money.
If you were a Bears fan and still believe and you want to have a big payday once you prove yourself correct, highly recommend you go check out BetUS, guys. They are currently matching 150% of your first deposit all the way up to $2,000, including 125% of your second and your third deposits. Just go to their website and type in code YouTube150. You do not want to miss out on this incredible promo. First game we have to talk about, and I'm sure that One Bar has had some time to forget this since it was the Thursday night game this previous week, but the Minnesota Vikings, unfortunately, end up dropping their second straight against the Los Angeles Rams after they welcomed back their receiving core, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Heartbreaker. But One Bar, talk to me about where, so I'd say, so the pulse check is for Vikings fans. What were your thoughts from that game? What's the path forward for the Minnesota Vikings? Talk to us.
I mean, not only do the Vikings lose, but they lose Darisaw for the entire season. Like that's the loss out of this game. I mean, yeah, we lost to the Rams. It sucked. but losing a top 3 offensive tackle in the league for the year was absolutely brutal. And I know we're going to talk about Cam Robinson. We trade for him. I love the move. We'll talk about that later. But like it was, man, Puka and Cooper Kupp coming back was a lot different than I expected. Like I figured they were saying Cooper Kupp was probably going to be back that game. Was expecting him. Puka Nacua coming back was a little bit of a curveball. Nobody was really expecting that. Like he had just got off of IR. Like, so those two guys coming back, this isn't the Rams that we've seen the last couple of weeks. Like this is the Rams we saw in the playoffs last year, and we saw it straight up. And I still think I'm not giving the Vikings an excuse just because those guys were there. We should have beat the Rams. The Vikings were sloppy. They were sleepwalking out there. Players, coaches, penalties, drop balls. Play calling was just brutal. And the worst part was the defense. Like our defense should be our bread and butter. The defense is like, you got Matt Stafford out there who's just old and slow. You got an offensive line that isn't overly great. We got 0 sacks. Are you kidding me? We got 0 sacks against these guys. We're giving you give Stafford some time against our secondary that is not any spring chickens by any means. They're a little long in the tooth. And when you do that, that is exactly what's going to happen. And he picked us apart, and their receivers picked us apart. And I still think the Vikings are legit. But it was good teams don't lose 2 in a row. And yeah, one of those was against the Lions. But it was very disheartening. This offense should have probably done a lot more. They need to start feeding 18 a lot more. Aaron Jones was doing his thing. But overall, it was very disappointing, mostly on the defensive side of the ball, because you gotta get to Matt Stafford. There's no excuse not to be putting him into the dirt left and right, and we didn't. And the Vikings, we got a Colts team coming up that we're going to talk about as well. But it's going to be a huge game for the Vikings. And I'm not going to sit and say, the way that game ended, we all saw the Sam Darnold face mask. Like it was if you've ever seen a worse penalty not called, whatever, I'm not even putting it on that. Vikings fans are like clamoring to that and just like, that's why we lost. No, it shouldn't even been in that situation. It sucks. That's the way it ended. I still can't believe that's the way it ended. But the Vikings got a lot of stuff to turn around. Coaching, it starts with the coaches. You can't have all those penalties. You can't be not getting to the quarterback against an offensive line that was playing a couple of backups that's not very good anyways. And we got some work to do. They got to prove themselves this Sunday. Very disappointing. Pulse-wise, Vikings fans, I still think, especially with the trade with Cam Robinson, we're still all in. We're still all in. We're the Packers bumped ahead of us. They got 1 game more than us, and they've played. We've already beat them. So I'm not worried. We lose Sunday, I'll be worried.
And so I think it's very easy to be mad at your own team, especially after dropping 2 in a row. But I always like getting objective opinions, and maybe it's difficult to find an objective opinion since I will be asking all of your divisional rivals this question. I'm going to start off with Nick here. Nick, if you were a Vikings fan, objectively speaking, should they be sounding the alarm bells based off of this 2-game losing streak, and then also some of these key injuries, etc.? What are your thoughts on the game and the future for the Vikings?
So thoughts on the game. LA is tough at home. They're 3-1 at home. So Minnesota had their work cut out for them. They just came off that other loss too that took the life out of them. So they wanted to bounce back. Playing against LA though, in LA, it's a tough matchup. They're a pretty good team there. I thought that honestly, I know one bar, as a fan, you definitely are feeling it a little bit more. I feel your pain, especially when we're going to talk about the Bears in a little bit. But the thing is that I thought Minnesota didn't play absolutely terrible. I was shocked by the defensive presence from the pass rush. I'm used to them, getting after the quarterback, get after Matthew Stafford. But again, Matthew Stafford knows this division. He loves beating the Vikings. He played in the NFC North for 10 plus years. So he came out and the Rams needed to win this game, because if the Rams went 2-5 after this game, they would be probably a little active at the deadline. This win was huge. Cooper Kupp wanted to come out and have a good game. Puka came out, had a huge game too. So the Rams are a lot better team than they were when they played the Bears and when they played the Packers. So the Vikings definitely had more of a challenge. So I don't think they played that bad. They played a very decent Rams team. And I think the Rams are going to start rattling off some wins here. So don't go sleeping on them anytime soon. From an alarm bell perspective, I like the move that they made. I was jealous of the left tackle move because the Bears lost both their left tackles on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. So that was a big hit to us. I was kind of hoping we were going to go out and make an aggressive move like that. But the Vikings front office clearly cares about this team. They went out and made a good move. They want to keep the momentum going. This team is definitely going to come back together. I mean, Justin Jefferson did have a really good game, 8 receptions, 115 yards. I think they're going to have to use Aaron Jones a little bit more. I was kind of shocked by his stats there. I'm not sounding an alarm if I'm a Vikings fan, though. I think that they're going to have a nice game this upcoming week. One bar, I believe they're playing the Colts, right? But Joe Flacco is an NFC North killer. He last year, Browns, Bears, he was the one that ripped us apart. So the Vikings definitely can't take their foot off the gas pedal. If they lose against the Colts, then I'm sounding the alarm. But for now, they're not out of it yet.
So what do you think about that, Dose of Dion?
In terms of are we sounding the alarm? Is that the We're not okay. Well, I mean, for me, I think it's got to be based on your expectation. You know what I mean? Like if I come into the season and they go 5-0, they're smoking the Houston Texans. If I'm a Vikings fan, we're winning the Super Bowl. Like we look like the best team in the football. So I think when that's the case and then you lose 2 in a row, it's just it's way different. Like if one bar came into the year and you said, "Hey, this is how the schedule's going. You're gonna be 5-2, man." He'd be like, "This is amazing. We're doing some work now. I didn't see that coming." So I think it's just based on where expectation was for the beginning of the season. I think what Nick hit on is important here. I think the LA Rams are one of the best teams in football. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC when healthy. And I think they're a problem. The fact that Puka Nacua became available right before the game, that's a problem. Like that is a handful for anybody to deal with because they can score with anybody. And we saw that. And I think for the Vikings, we haven't completely seen, it's still kind of a small sample size, like when you're playing teams that are also matching the points and you having to play behind and those kind of things. And I don't think that was necessarily the issue in this one, but I just think what we've seen from the Vikings, if they've shown a consistent recipe of how they can win, and because it's such a small sample size that maybe off of this hot start, the expectation shouldn't go incredibly too far. I think the Vikings are a good team. They look like a playoff caliber team, but I also don't think that this is a Super Bowl team as of now. And I think that this is one of those games where it's you're playing a team that I think in the NFC that's going to go win this division. They're a team that can compete for the Super Bowl this season. I truly believe that as the LA Rams get healthier. So I think you're looking at one of the best teams. And if you throw the records out for a second, you realize that you had to go deal with one of the best and they needed this win, as Nick said. So that's kind of how I look at it. I think the Vikings are a very good team. I think this was a very kind of understandable how this was kind of a back and forth game like it was.
And so what about you, Bass?
Yeah, I don't think there's alarm bells either, and I think Dion, encapsulated that perfectly. You didn't expect them to be 5-2. I think a lot of us in this show, before the season, we're like, yeah, they could probably be 2-5 at this point. And seriously, starting out 5-0, starting out 5-0, do we really think they're going to go out there and go 17-0? Win losses like this will make you a better football team, right? The Rams look so different with Kupp and Nacua, and honestly, it would have been a different game against the Packers if they had both of those players. And Matthew Stafford looked like his old former self. Did have one really foolish interception, but outside of that, and one bar, I want to give you massive props for not coming on here and just be like face mask this, face mask that. That's why we lost, and I respect you coming on and being like, hey, we didn't play well. We had our chances beforehand. You guys had a drive right before that you could have went down and tied it, and you didn't, right? And then also, even before the face mask, Rams had a very, very high chance to win that game. So I respect you coming on here and not just clamoring about that because, it takes courage to do that because I know how refs have been messing up so much. And yeah, it was a horrible call. It was the wrong call. Should have been a face mask, 100%. Not sitting here saying it shouldn't. But the one thing you guys also hit on it a bunch. Jefferson did well, but outside of that, Aaron Jones was your leading receiver. Where's the involvement of Jordan Addison that I am used to seeing against the Packers? Right. I love Aaron Jones, but the Rams stopped him. 3.1 average. That's a recipe. It seems like to stop the Vikings. Hey, contain the run. And it seems like you can kind of put them on the back foot and get a win over them. The Rams ran the ball pretty well. Kyron Williams, 23 for 97. And yeah, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, those two just changed this Rams football team. But and I think they will be a threat, going later into the season. But no, I wouldn't alarm bells either. I think the Vikings are still a great football team, and I think one of the, like I said, the main reasons they didn't get a win here is the 0 sacks, like you guys all said. So I don't want to, be a broken record, but that was a huge difference.
Some fantastic takes all around, guys. Now I want to go on ahead and move over to the absolute ass whooping that the Detroit Lions put on the Tennessee Titans. The 50 burger is absolutely insane. I have a follow-up question for you, Troy, after we're done with all of this. But before you get into it, folks, 276 of you watching us right now on YouTube. Love each and every single one of you for tuning on in and supporting us on a weekly basis. Please do us a favor, smash that like button. And if you would be so kind, we are now officially on Spotify. All right. We are now on audio form. So if you have the time, please do us a favor, hit that link at the pinned comment of the chat and leave us a 5-star rating if you genuinely believe that we deserve it over here. Troy, ass whooping. Talk to us.
I mean, Dan, look, man, I don't know. It looked like a high school football game. Like, I think I've used that once already this year, but that's what it was. I mean, there's no way you have 80 passing yards, you score 52 points on the team. When we were smacking the Dallas Cowboys, like, there was, like, some understandableness to what was going down. It's like, all right, we're running the ball over this team. We're throwing out all these trick plays. And that thing was just embarrassing. Then we kind of let off the gas, like 47. I don't think we're going to top that. We scored 52 with 80 passing yards, and it was the special teams. Shout out to Khalif, man. They really is what they separated this because Mason Rudolph came out. Calvin Ridley, man, that connection was cooking. There was like, okay, this is a rookie corner going against a guy that knows what he's doing. He's giving him some struggles. They're making plays, and they're kind of like, we're going back and forth with this team. But as the game rolled along, it kind of felt like it's what we've seen over the years. It's like when you put a team that's like one of the best teams in football versus a team that's really not, but they have a couple pieces. And it's like it's interesting early, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's levels to this. They're just not on the same level. This Titans team is in a completely different situation, and then you see what you see happen. It's like, okay, they clearly can't play with us on any three levels, and they don't have enough firepower. Like if you looked at the Titans, they didn't have any explosiveness within their game. I'm not saying they didn't have that early, but if you look at how they're built, that's what they lack. They're not built to play from behind by a ton. They have one receiver that they go to. They have Mason Rudolph that can't move. They're not built to play that way. They have to lean with Tony Pollard. They have to play a certain way defensively. And once the game kind of started to get out of hand because of special teams, they didn't really have a way to get back into the game. And then we saw the third quarter just kind of piled on because of that. I'll say this, Dan. The biggest thing that surprised me was the way that we ran the football. I mean, the Tennessee Titans came in. I thought they had a really strong run defense coming into the game. I was like, maybe their linebackers could be a little shaky. But the way that we came out, Dave Montgomery was first. Doesn't have a crazy stat line, but he ran well. He kind of set the tone. Then obviously Gibbs, he's been the last few weeks. He's averaging over 5 yards per carry, like 6 straight games. He's like becoming the guy. Like all the questions about should you have taken him at 12? Like, yeah, you should have taken him at 12 because I don't know if that it's always worth 12 for every team, but it's worth 12 for us because he's the perfect complement to Monty. And because we have such a good offensive line in place, he is in a situation that best can kind of bring that out. And it's also perfect for Goff because he doesn't move either. So I think when you see what Gibbs was last week, man, and what he's been, he's kind of become like the X factor for this team that's just taking plays that could be a little bit to like now he's the explosive weapon, especially without Jameson. And yeah, to me, Dan, it was just that simple. It was two teams that just aren't on the same level right now. And the game was close early. They made it interesting. They made some big plays. They kind of played out of character, I think, to an extent. But as the game rolled along, it was like, okay, we're kind of showing colors here. But honestly, man, 52 points is insane. It speaks to how well, I guess, coached they are, or like where they are as a three-phase team at this point, because you should not beat a team by 50 points unless your quarterback has a Kirk Cousins 500 passing yard type of game, not 80. Okay, and he took 4 sacks. It wasn't like Goff came out cooking. I think we went 3 and out in our first 3 drives. And we scored 50 points. It shouldn't have went down like that, but it did. So it was a good win. It felt good, but it was also kind of boring. I ain't even gonna lie to you, Dan. I was a little bored in the third quarter. Like this is like there's no excitement. The game's over. It's like we just kind of want to take everybody out of the game. When is everybody coming out? That's what we were waiting for. That was the suspense. When does Goff come out? And maybe we took him out a little bit too late, to be honest.
Hey, and so I'll tell you what, certainly an impressive win, but some question that's been hanging over my head. I've been dying to ask you this. I have had some takes of this of my own, but obviously the loss of Aiden Hutchinson a couple of weeks ago was massive. All right. And the NFL trade deadline next week, November 5th. Talk to us. I've heard whispers, and maybe it's just some people that are really hoping that a move like this could be made. But is a Myles Garrett or is a Max Crosby on the table? Or maybe even like a second level sort of edge rusher? Are the Lions going to be buyers at the trade deadline is my question to you.
Yeah, I mean, right before I got on here, I got like dudes hitting me up. Like, yo, Montez Sweat's coming from the Bears. They're giving up on the season. They just get like they lost on a Hail Mary. So like that's what I've been hearing. You know what I mean? It's like, hey man, things change fast. I don't know what's going on. I mean, maybe it was from Nick. I don't know who reported. No, I don't think as much as I want to like If this was Madden, I would have made the move just because I want to see what the heck it looks like and just like how fast can we actually get after a quarterback. But no, like realistically, I don't think any of that wasn't even shot. It was a joke. My thing is, man, the top tier, I don't think it's on the table. I really don't. And I don't think like Brad, I want him to be aggressive, but I do think that there's a lot in his body, and he's shown it to this point where he's just going to be patient. Like, this man is not going to extend, and we just haven't seen it. I mean, last year they made a move, and it was like Donovan Peoples-Jones. You're like, okay, maybe that could become something. Like, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're not, and it was fine. It was like we could kind of see a path maybe here, but that's the kind of moves that he's made. I think this will probably be his most aggressive move. I mean, last year we brought in Bruce Irvin at the end of the year, right? His most aggressive move, I think, will be happening before the trade deadline, but to me, if I was betting, it would be a day 3 pick for an edge rusher, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's that man over there in Cleveland and Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith to fill in for Aiden Hutchinson. Some big shoes to fill, but let's go around the table and get the takes from our other panelists on exactly how they felt about that statement win from the Detroit Lions. I'm starting off with Bass on this one.
Yeah, it was a statement. I mean, I think I predicted in our preview like 41-10, and even then I'm like, all right, like it's still like an ass whooping. Like maybe it's not that big of a differential. And then 52-14 is hilarious. I was watching the Packers obviously during this game streaming, and every commercial I go and check my phone the scores. I'm like 14-14. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, Mason Rudolph, let him cook a little bit. Like we see it happen, and then every time I refreshed, it's like 66-yard punt return. 82-yard kick return. I'm like, what is going on over here, right? I have never once seen a box score like this. It is absolutely insane. Jared Goff threw 85 passing yards, got sacked 4 out of 15 dropbacks. Gibbs has an 11.5 average. Your tight end is your leading receiver, and the next highest has 14 yards, right? Jared Goff has 2 fumbles. I think did he lose any of them? I don't think he lost any of them. I'm just looking at the stat line. I don't think he lost any of them, right? And then when you go to like kick returns, punt returns, Kirby Joseph had an interception. Kick returns, one return for Dorsey for 72 yards. You see punt returns, Raymond 5 for 190. I've seen some garbage special teams performances by my own team. That takes the cake. That absolutely takes the cake. I was watching like a special teams video breakdown on YouTube on this game. That's how bad it was. There was a guy breaking it down why the Titans had such a bad special teams performance. And I had hope in them. Like you said, Dion, you saw Calvin Ridley cooking early. Pollard, averaged a decent amount. Yeah, Rudolph, right? But then it just went downhill. I mean, we all expected the Lions to win, but I had a little inkling of hope there when it was 14-14. I'm like, I mean, you could go back and look at my live stream. I'm like, let's go, like Mason Rudolph legacy game. And no, God, no. Statement win by the Lions, man. They're the hottest team in football. You have to admit that. There's no other team that's as hot as the Detroit Lions. And my Packers play them this week, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
Very, very interesting. All right, Nick, thoughts on the Detroit Lions, on the rise of that team from Detroit? Talk to us.
I'm pretty sure I said last time very few words. I said Detroit's good, Tennessee's bad, and I said an absurd score. And sure as hell not, it was an absurd score. I mean, like Bad's just saying, when it was 14-14, I was like, what is going on? Yeah. And then I flipped to another game. I come back. I'm like, oh, shit, 47? I was like, what is going on here? The Lions, I mean, look at the Lions' last 4 games. Those Seahawks spanked them 42 points. Cowboys spanked them 47-9. Vikings, good matchup. And they pulled it off in Minnesota. Impressive. Sorry, one bar. But it was a great game. Right. And then you go to the Titans, who you should crush when you are one of the best teams in football, and absolutely did that. So shout out to, the Lions for absolutely putting a butt whooping on the Titans. I mean, they're just a bad team. That's all I got to say. One thing I did want to say, though, about the Lions is that I want to go back to this Montez Sweat comment. Were you legit about that, Doze, or what?
Nick all hot and bothered.
So hurt. No.
He's got a hurt shin.
That really got under his head right there, Troy.
No, I've had some hot takes. We all know that. I've had very hot takes, but that one, that makes me look like I'm sane. So just putting that out there. But congrats to the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a super fun matchup this upcoming Sunday against the Packers. I know we're going to hit on that in a little bit, but that one shook my boots a little bit. Anyway,
yeah,
I'm done.
So the Montez Sweat take was measured on the Kelvin scale. That is for sure. One bar. Thoughts on the Detroit Lions, man? What do you got?
I mean, everybody said it. It was like I would like to see what my local high school football team, how they would do against the Titans right now, because I bet it'd be pretty damn close. I'm not taking it away from the Lions and Dion here. I mean, it wasn't even fun. You're right. If Dion, if you're watching this, it's not even fun. I mean, it's brutal. And like everybody else said, I checked in on the score, 14-14. I'm like, what is going on? And 2 seconds later, I check on it. It's 1,000,000-14. It just got out of hand extremely quick. Lions right now, like last week, they got their offensive line. They're throwing balls to them. This week, David Montgomery's throwing touchdowns. Like they're just toying with people. They're having fun. If you're a Lions fan, I don't like it. But you guys are having a blast right now, and you should be. You're putting up points, an insane amount of points week in and week out. There's nothing really else to say. I mean, Gibbs, fantastic. With Hutchinson going down, they're like, screw it. We don't care. We're just going to score 50 plus. We don't need any defense. The Packers game, I know the Lions have, I can't remember who you have after the Packers. I think it's somebody fairly decent, but we'll see. Texans. I mean, there's going to be a point in time where the Lions get a little bit of a reality check. I'll love to watch it. I hope it happens. But yeah, the Lions, you gotta give them their credit right now. You gotta give them the love. They're NFC. When it comes to NFC, they're the top dogs. They're whooping some ass out there.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now we need to look at the Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars game that happened this past week. Now, Bass, I'm not gonna lie, I saw a couple of your rivals in the chat saying how you struggled against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The trolling has begun, but it was a close game, man. Thoughts? And then also give us an update on what we should expect from Jordan Love. Saw that he ended up straining a groin. Malik Willis comes out and plays a little bit of superhero ball for you. Talk to us about your observations.
Yeah, and when people say, oh, they barely beat the Jags, I mean, it's still a win in the win column at the end of the day. And why that game was so close is not only that Jordan Love left the game, but this injury happened, I believe, on the first or second drive, right? When you pull your groin, then you notice your team, like whenever a quarterback gets a lower leg injury, watch how much your team runs shotgun or pistol after that. So Matt LaFleur had to remove so much of his install out of his game plan the moment Jordan Love lost his mobility. Not to mention, Jordan Love already has a knee brace on that left leg from that MCL injury in week 1. So it wasn't pretty because, you know, half of the game plan had to be removed and Jordan Love wasn't able to step into his throws. He was falling back on every throw, which he does anyways, but it was even worse, right? And he still finished 14 of 22, 196. He did have an interception, which was an excellent play by Jarian Jones at nickel for the Jags. But overall, you know, the Packers continue to be resilient with a backup quarterback or a situation that's less than ideal, should I say. And I got to give major props to Brian Gutekunst for going out and making a move for Malik Willis. I mean, throughout the preseason, we had Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt, and it was pretty much like who's less worse is going to be our backup quarterback throughout the entire preseason. I'm glad he went with neither. 2 draft picks in the last 2 years, went out, made a low-risk, high-reward move, and we're seeing the high-reward end of it from Malik Willis. I mean, it's laughable that we just talked about the Titans getting smoked 52-14, yet they traded away their quarterback for a late-round draft pick that maybe could have made their team a little bit better right now. So that's the difference between a good team or a good manager, general manager, and a bad one. The Packers continue to run the football well, and I love that they're leaning in on Josh Jacobs, 25 carries, 127, 2 touchdowns, had some dirty runs in this game. And then when Malik Willis comes in, they just turn into an even more of a power football team. He ran the ball 4 times, 23 yards. They protected well. I think it was one of the better games by this offensive line. Willis was the only one that took a sack off of like a busted RPO play. Love didn't get sacked once, and they have some good pass rushers over there. And Trayvon Walker's had a great year 3, and Josh Hines-Allen, who's been really good as well. It was National Tight End Day, so it was a joy to see Tucker Kraft go off. Continues to show that he's like a top 7 tight end in the NFL. Truly, you know, he had 3 for 78. But it was a closer game, and I talked about this in my game preview. pretty much that it depends what Jacksonville you get. And when you watch the film, man, Trevor Lawrence had a good game. Like, Trevor Lawrence was hitting on a lot of these throws. He was reading the field correctly. And whatever the Packers defense brought out, it seemed like they had the perfect play call for it, whether it was corner routes against cover 2 or seams against cover 3, right? So, like, they ran a lot of good concepts against our defense. And luckily, you know, we had the lead early yet again, because that's a big factor for the Packers this year. And they weren't able to lean as much on their run game because Tank Bigsby is a ball player. And then also late in the game, we got kind of lucky with injuries. You know, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk both left the game. Their tight ends were eating us up. But overall, so it's a resilient win, and I'm so glad to say that the Packers finally have a kicker. You know, Brandon McManus 2 weeks in a row with a game-winning field goal, this one against one of his former teams. I didn't feel nervous during that kick. Same with last week. It's like, okay, you know, you see it. You finally have a kicker out here. Maybe not as good as, you know, the Vikings kicker by any means, but we're finally able to hit some kicks here. So, yeah, it's insane, One Bar. I'm watching those. I'm just like, I skip. Like, when I'm watching the highlights, I click the arrow to the right to skip the field goal. I know you guys make it. I'm like, I don't even need to watch it. So I'm envious of that. But the Packers seemingly have a kicker, and yeah, a win's a win in the win column. We're 6-2 at the end of the day.
So what you got on that one, Troy? What you got, man?
Well, I think what Bass said was important. I mean, the plan, I thought, especially, you know, as we saw kind of the game roll along, passing the football, they seemed to kind of find some matchups that were in some big moments that they were able to get guys up. We saw the touchdown where they were able to get, I think it was Nixon on a little corner route that they got to the tight end there. So they found some good matchups, I thought, as the game rolled along. And then, as he said, I thought for what Green Bay was going into, like the one that stuck out to me was the play where they're going up there, they're showing blitz. I think it was a third down, maybe it was a second down. They end up dropping out of it, and they're able to hit the seam before the linebacker even gets back there. Like, they seem to have some good adjustments to be able to find, you know, some quick answers, and Lawrence was just letting that thing rip as it went on. And yet they still kind of, you know, I don't want to say they gave him things. Like, first off, the pass rush has come to life, and it may be kind of balance, like, okay, is this the Packers pass rush coming to life, or is this a disaster for the Jacksonville Jaguars at left tackle? Because my goodness, Walker Little looked like he was getting cooked every single play. So you had the strip sack fumble, and then, you know, for Jordan Love's sake, like the interception, I think we've kind of seen things like that, but I didn't think he was playing necessarily bad, you know, before, you know, he went out. I didn't think he was playing bad. So I thought, you know, offensively, it just kind of surprised me how well they were able to run the football against this team. I thought that would be the one thing Jacksonville would be able to lean on. And then the flip side for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they didn't seem to have much of a run game at all outside of like a few plays. Tank Bigsby kind of did some work off script. Like, he kind of went to work a little bit, and he got like a couple of like big chunks. And like there's a little bit of something. So honestly, yeah, Trevor, he kind of took over the game with a messed up offensive line, and I think they found matchups in the back end, which is something we'll have to keep an eye on, because you can see Jair. He's like, yeah, don't really throw it to Jair. He's a problem. But then outside of that, I think, you know, Javon Bullard stepping in, it was a little bit shaky there at times, depending on the situations they put him in. So I think they did a good job of kind of picking out the spots that they could. And we saw a lot of screen usage, and they tried to kind of protect that offensive line. So it was a good football game. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars shows you what they're capable of. But at the same time, they just didn't have enough for the Packers. And then that last drive kind of said it all. They just didn't have enough for the Packers in that game. They didn't have enough defensively to go make the stop. And as Bass said, that offensive line for the Packers is consistently good. It's consistently good every single year. And it's at this point where it's like, you just expect that. Like, they're shuffling pieces around, and they're good every single game they show up. They're all on the injury report, but yet they're all playing well.
Let's see what you got on that one, Bar.
I mean, it was just overall a good game. I mean, it was back and forth. The Jaguars were toying with my emotions. I'm like, holy crap, they're going to actually pull this thing off. And then they end up losing. But overall, just it was a fun game to watch. Baz said it best. I mean, like, it doesn't matter how pretty the win is or not. I would have loved an ugly win against the Rams. We didn't get it. Like, if you get a win in this division, that's all that matters right now. This early in the season, get the dub. Who gives a crap how pretty it is or who it's against? And the Packers went out and did it. I mean, and again, Baz said this already, but like, trading for Willis, like, that's got to go down as one of the best moves right now in the NFL this early in the season, because what is he, 3-0? Is he 3-0?
2.5-0, I guess.
2.5-0. I mean, and when he comes in, like, he looks good. It's weird. Like, if Jordan Love finishes that game, I don't think the Packers win. And that's not against Jordan Love. It's just like, he wasn't healthy. He wasn't making plays. Willis comes in, and he's making plays with his legs. He's throwing the ball well. So hats off to the Packers doing that. Josh Jacobs, kind of broken record. The dude week in and week out is just getting those tough yards, doing what he has to do to get the win. It's funny watching the Packers. I mean, the history of the Packers until recently, like, they never went out and got those big free agent guys. And this year, Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, what's he got? 1,000 interceptions already this year. I mean, I think he had another one this year. So yeah. Xavier McKinney is he's going to be a baller to be the defensive player of the year right now. which is a huge difference for this Packers defense. One thing that again, like the Vikings, Darisaw goes out. I'll be curious to see what shakes out with this Packers. I know they took some injuries as well on this team, which will be big. So that'll be something to watch. But I mean, when the Jaguars 2 receivers went out, those Thomas, I mean, when those guys went out, I'm like, this is over. Packers are going to win. Like, you cannot get the dub with these guys out of there, and that's what happened. But they get the game-ending winning field goal, and they get the dub. So hats off to the Packers for getting a tough win. I will say, of course, Jordan Love, I kind of rip on him mildly every week. Of course, he throws an interception to a team that does not get interceptions. Like, come on, man. Come on, Love. You got to clean that up.
They had
one. You got to clean that up, Love. And Willis, like, going into the Lions game, like, honestly, it's like I don't think it matters who plays quarterback as far as, I mean, it's going to be a good matchup. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. But, like, if I'm the Packers and Willis has to go, I'm not worried.
It's last but not least, Nick. What you got?
I gotta say, like, so everyone kind of said it. Like, this was a good ball game to watch. Like, came down to the wire, was intense. It was back and forth. It wasn't boring. It wasn't like the Lions game that was boring. Like, this game was actually, you were on your seat all the way to the end. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, who the Bears just beat really bad a couple weeks ago, prior to that. Like, I was like, yeah, Tank Bigsby is going to have a good game, like 4.3 yards per carry. Like, he definitely was helping get the offense moving, and Trevor Lawrence was getting things done. When Lawrence had that fumble deep in their own zone and Green Bay recovered it, I was like, Green Bay's going to win this game. Like, that right there was a nail in the coffin. Even though the game wasn't over, I was like, they're going to find a way. And then the injuries to both Brian Thomas and Christian Kirk. The Christian Kirk injury was bad. Like, I hope that guy heals up soon, because that was just ugly to see. But Jacksonville did something that I feel like they haven't done all season, and they spread the ball out really well against this Green Bay secondary, which Green Bay responded. Obviously, they won the game. Bass said it best. A win is a win, whether it's ugly or not. And looking at the stat sheet, like, all their wide receivers spread out super well. I mean, Brian Thomas had the biggest game, but all the way down the list, you still had guys with over 35 receiving yards. So they were doing what they were toying with the Packers. They were going to different targets, and they were making it work. That's why Jacksonville was in this game for so long. But the Green Bay defense, that pass rush, tough to see. And then when Love went out, just have to put this out there. When Love went out, I was like, let's see if Malik Willis can make magic happen. 4 for 5, 56 yards. Doesn't have to be pretty. He got the job done. He still threw a passing touchdown. Like, all right, he did a good thing. Green Bay's front office did a really good job at going out and getting McKinney, going out and getting Josh Jacobs, and then going out and getting Willis, getting guys that all had immediate impact on this team. Josh Jacobs saved the day again. I mean, great stat line of over 5 yards per carry and 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, I wish I would have taken him on my fantasy team, but me being a Bears fan, I was like, I can't take a Packer. You know what I mean? But definitely putting that emotion aside moving forward, because he's been having a really good year so far. He's been saving Green Bay. The one thing that I kind of felt was different in this game is that, Baz, I don't know if you felt it at all, but I felt like Green Bay was in a panic at one point because they weren't expecting the game to be this close throughout the entire game. And whenever they panned over to Matt LaFleur, I've never seen him like have a nervous look on his face, and he looked a little nervous. So for Green Bay to pull it off, like, they got through adversity, they got the win on the road, and shout out to their kicker, back-to-back game-winning field goals after being signed 2 weeks prior. Like, team just got it done. So, Baz, I don't know if you saw that either, but I felt like that was the first time I saw he looked nervous on the field.
I don't know if I necessarily saw him nervous. Matt LaFleur has a bunch of different emotions. Usually he's kind of just looks angry, like at the ref or some players or something. Like, he's just like throwing his headset, like, because he doesn't get a timeout in time or something like that. I'll say this, and I'll wrap it up pretty quickly, but I think the Packers were thrown off defensively when Evan Williams got hurt. He's been like their star safety as of late, 4th round pick. And that allows them to be in a personnel they like, which then is Jair and Nixon on the outsides, Bullard down low on early downs, kind of like a box safety nickel defender to defend against the run, and X and Williams deep. The moment Williams left with a hamstring injury, this defense like transformed. And I think that's transform in a worse way. And I think that's why it got so close in the end, up by 10 late, then they bring it back, tie the game, and they're moving the ball left and right on us. I think that's why. So I'm sure that was a little bit of nervousness from the Packers coaching staff. Like, oh gosh, we're put in a position not only with Jordan Love getting hurt, but one of our key defenders that really allows us to put ourselves in the personnel we want. So, I was nervous. So I'm sure they were too.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I've never seen this side of him before. Yeah. So it was crazy, but ugly win is an ugly win. I mean, they still put up 30 points. I wouldn't say that's an ugly win, but it was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But they're 6-2. I can't say much.
6-2, and now we need to have a transition over to a game. And Nick, I can't lie to you.
He's out.
He's gone. He's left.
I can't lie to you, my friend. I can't lie to you. I thought of you when I saw Jaden Daniels somehow complete that pass after one of your DBs was taunting those Washington Commanders fans and ended up assisting for the game winner. Thoughts, man? And what overall is the pulse check amongst Bears fans? All right. I scrolled through X and I saw a couple giving up on the season. I saw some that were very upset with that one specific player, but sound off. Main observations. Should you be sounding the alarm bells? Talk to me.
No, do not hit the alarm bell, because here's what I want to say is that the Washington Commanders, the Bears came off a bye. The Commanders did not. Jaden Daniels, they knew he was going to play. Everyone was like, there's no way they're going to play Marcus Mariota. They're going to make sure that guy, especially the NFL, is going to be like, you're putting the number 1 and number 2 pick out there. The fact that the Bears, for the first 3 drives, only allowed 3 field goals in the red zone, I thought was insanely impressive on the road after a bye. On top of that, too, we were missing Jaquan Brisker and we're missing Kyler Gordon. So there was a lot of pressure on the second string guys, and I thought that they did a great job. I mean, the Bears defense, 99% of the game did a good job. I'll get to Tyreek Stevenson in a second, though, because he is on everyone's list right now. The Bears, the fact that they only allowed the hottest offense in football 1 touchdown, and of course it came at the worst possible moment in the worst possible way, I was very impressed by that. On top of that, too, there was a lot of learning moments. And Baz said a quote that I actually was going to say, but there's a loss that teaches a team how to become better. And this was that loss, and I'm so happy that it happened now versus later in the season. First of all, the hottest offense in football always scores 18 points. You take away that Hail Mary 12 points, I'll take that. Absolutely every day of the week and twice on Sunday. On top of that, 13 games in a row with 21 or less allowed. The Bears offense in the fourth quarter, Caleb Williams showed that he wants to be a winner, and he put the team on his back. He was like, we're going to win this ball game. We're going to do everything possible. And he turned it on. He went against Shane Waldron. You saw him do that. He was changing plays at the line. And that made me feel better because the Bears have never had a quarterback since Jay Cutler went against his coordinator. So I was pretty happy about that. On top of it, too, there was a lot of things that were going on, on the sideline. Matt Eberflus is definitely the guy that everyone was pointing the finger at, and as they should. Blaming your players was totally uncalled for when he had 3 timeouts. He should have not holding guys accountable in Tyreek Stevenson. And on top of it, there was 2 plays he should have challenged. And Eberflus is scared to challenge because of the fact that he's 2-5 all-time challenging as a head coach. On top of it, too, he's 3-17 on the road. So the dude's just scared. And that's a big problem for the Chicago Bears right now. But I thought that the offense, DeAndre Swift literally said, give me the ball. I'm going to help us out. Dude ripped it up for over 125 yards rushing, 4 games in a row of doing that. So I was pumped about that. Great addition so far. At the beginning, we were all like, this is a bust pick. He's been our pickup. He's been doing a great job. We already talked about that. But I want to say also, too, is that the national recognition of this team is that this is a good Bears team. We can all talk about how good the defense is because they are doing a good job. National recognition, they're all still ranked top 15. The team's not giving up. The players came out to the media and were like, we're not giving up as a team. Great teams are led by the players, not the coaches. And that's what I think the Bears team is doing right now. Tough loss, absolute BS. I'm finally going to get in Tyreek Stevenson. I don't think he's a bad player. I thought he had a really good rookie year. He had 16 pass deflections last year, 86 tackles in 15 games. He made a big mistake. He let the ego of last year get over him. And this was a learning experience for him. I expect him to be a good player moving forward, not make mistakes like that, but absolute BS. And I want him to honestly be benched next game. I don't really care how good, like how diminished our DB room is, but send a message. But Flus right now, Flus and him are by far on the hot seat. Shane Waldron's right behind that. But a Bears loss is a Bears loss. It sucked, but this loss taught this team, and hopefully, I think it is going to turn things around for the rest of the season. And we're still 4-3. We were 2-5 last year through 7. So this team's a lot better than last year. I think Bears fans need to calm down a little bit.
So I saw Troy in the top left corner laughing.
He's always laughing at me. He's always laughing at me, Dan. Come on.
So, thoughts on that game, Troy? And should Bears fans hang it up? Talk to me.
Well, yeah, they should have hung it up before the season if we're being real. I mean, look, and I'm just kidding. I'm not laughing at Nick. Look, I believed in the Bears coming. I thought their schedule was going to play out well. I'm just laughing because Tyreek Stevenson play blows me away, man. It's mind-boggling because it's hilarious that he's like going back and forth with the fans. But the thing is like the play went on so long that there was plenty of time to still be in the right spot. It's not like when he turned around, the ball was in the air and it was like, I got to get over there. Like it went right and then back left. So he was still in there was plenty of time for him to go get in the right position, even after doing all the crazy stuff. And then he races over late and tips the ball into the air. It was hilarious just watching on the All-22 because I had heard about it. Like I heard it on X, like that, hey, this went down. It was actually the only play I missed of the game. I was driving, so I missed that play. And at ESPN refreshes, they lost the game. And then everybody's like, what's Tyreek Stevenson doing? Pop up the All-22. I'm like, this is hilarious. This dude's like they're 20 yards down the field running. He doesn't even care. But really, overall in this game, man, I think here's what the Bears have to hang their hat on. It's exactly what Nick said. They have a really good defense. I mean, I feel like every week I come up here and say like they have a really good defense. They have a really good defense. And to me, Jaden was going to be a challenge. I thought Mariota would be a challenge. I thought this would be a big win if Chicago won it. I think I said that on like Wednesday or Thursday or something. I was like, if they win, regardless of who's plays, this is a big win in my eyes. This is huge. And they didn't win, but at the same time, they pretty much did everything they should have done to win the football game up until the last play. So I don't think that here's why it's tough for the Bears. It's tough for the Bears because of where the NFC's at, right? Because of the division that you're in. This is why it's tough to give one away like this because you have the game against a good football team. And you look at it, they're getting this NFC East matchup, which unfortunately is probably the best team in the NFC East, right? You got a really tough matchup out of it, and you should have had your win there. That being said, though, bro, they beat up that offensive line for Washington. They were all over Jaden Daniels, it felt like. They gave up like 400+ yards total in the game to Washington. So they were moving the ball and they were finding big chunk plays. But when everything condensed, they couldn't find any answers. And you could see it. Like it's like their pass game just completely went away when things felt like they were condensed offensively. And I think that speaks to just the consistency for the Bears. You have the same head coach, right? You have this defense that pretty much when I feel like when we play the Bears, I think you kind of know what you're going to get. It's not like they're going to throw you off and confuse you. They just play really sound. Their second level's been big time. Their third level is consistent. You know they're going to fly around. They're going to be on top of everything. They're going to close windows. Everything's so tight. And if it wasn't for Jaden Daniels being able to take off and be spectacular a couple of times, like a couple of those drives end early, man. There's not even a field goal attempt because he went out and just did a little off schedule. The downside is the offense just didn't look great. And I think the concern there is, to me, and Swift has looked good. Like, I'll give it to Swift, man. He's been doing some work. The passing game specifically, I think that we've seen them, when they started to come to life, their schedule was a disaster, right? They weren't playing good teams. Now you played a team that wasn't like great defensively, but they are definitely a tougher team. I think Dan Quinn always has that team ready defensively, and it just looked off. That's what it looked like. Now they ended up scoring when they needed to. So again, they should have won the football game because they did enough to win as a team, but it just looked off. It just felt like there were so many throws where it was like Caleb was throwing it. Maybe the guy wasn't like completely taken away, but he would throw like back shoulder and the receiver would go long. And it was like, okay, why is there something just off about all of these throws? There's just something a little bit off. I don't know what that was, but I mean, again, he's a rookie, so maybe it's just that. I think there's a lot of positives. I think, if anything, I don't walk away discouraged. I think a lot of the same things that we've seen from the Bears showed up. I want to see the pass game be more consistent, but it's just the fact that you lost a game like this really stinks because of the division that you're in. If you're in one of the other terrible divisions, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt you as much as it does here. But no, I just think it's hilarious. I think the Tyreek Stevenson thing is absolutely hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. But honestly, he deserved it. Like, that's karma if there's karma. You know what I mean? Stop talking, my guy. End the game. Win the football game, man. I don't know. I won't go into that. Anyways, but I thought they did a lot of good.
Want to say one thing though. Also, shout out to our special teams. Torrey Taylor is an unbelievable punter. 7 punts, 5 of them in the 20, 4 of those were in the 10. So just want to put that out there too. Like 2 of our 3 units are doing a good job. But the offense, I agree with you, Dose. Like, that Shane Waldron, tough to watch.
Yeah. And so what you got on that one, Bar?
I mean, this damn Bears team, like, I feel bad for them because they're good and their coaching staff sucks ass. There's no way to sugarcoat that whatsoever. And I can't believe nobody's brought up the fact that they tried to run the ball to their backup center. Like, I mean, that's a fireable offense in game. You were trying to get the lead and you're giving it to him. Nick, I love you, man. I'm just saying what I saw as a fan watching this game. It was weird.
No,
so damn
you're
weird.
right.
I don't know if it was arrogant. I don't know if it was stupidity. I don't know what it was, but I believe that was either first or second down, and they're doing that crap. And it's unbelievable because with this defense, with these, even though the offense is young and they got some weapons, it's like they shouldn't be this bad. And I put it all on the coaching staff. I think they should be fired. I think they're horrible. I think they're doing no justice to this Chicago Bears team because I think they would be much better with a different coaching staff. It's just it sucks. And this was such a big win. Washington Washington's the better team, but the Bears should have won this game. And this would have been such a huge win for the Bears to beat Washington. And right now, I'd be sitting over where Nick is right now if the Bears won that game. When that actually happened, I almost crapped my pants. I couldn't believe it because I'm like, oh, great. I can't wait to go on the round table. I'm going to be in the last square. I'm going the first to worst within a matter of like 5 days. So it's just disheartening. Like if I'm a Bears fan, alarm bells actually are ringing. And it's not because of the players. It's because of the people coaching the players. So that is why they have some very, very good players. Caleb Williams, gross couple of first 3 quarters. Not worried about that. The defense were holding their own. Like it's a rookie quarterback, whatever. DeAndre Swift running his ass off. It comes down to the coaching. And when it comes to the Tyreek Stevenson thing, it's like, it sucks for him because this guy could go out next year and have 15 interceptions. Nobody's going to care because all they're going to think about is the stupid ass play he did. That is his legacy. It doesn't matter if this is his second year. That is all he'll be remembered for. And it's stupid. I don't care if you put a tweet out afterwards apologizing. Nobody cares. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. This isn't high school. Get your butt over there and make the play. I couldn't believe it. And Nick, I feel bad for you, man. I feel bad for you because you guys should have won that game.
Thanks, One Bar. I really appreciate that.
And so last but not least, Fast, what you got on this, man?
Fast has a note sheet ready to go.
No,
ready.
You guys hit on a lot of it, and I think he purposely put me last so you guys say all the things first and whatnot. And I'll comment on a few things. You guys pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. But, you mentioned Torrey Taylor is like one of the best punters. Didn't Caleb Williams come out and say he's not going to be punting much this year yet?
Yeah,
he's one of the best punters. It's like, let's be honest there. And then also with the no alarm bells, if you're calling your coach soft and he's on the hot seat, I think those, in fact, are alarm bells, truly. Because if you don't have players believe in your coach, I mean, he was trying to pull Lions there by handing it to Lyman. Let's be completely honest. The Lions would have succeeded in that. Like, we would have had a Penei Sewell touchdown. Like, we would have. So I think that was honestly where that came from. And I saw you put out a tweet that Rashawn Johnson on goal line carries is like 100%. What are you doing? What are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing? I'm glad Jaden Daniels toughed this one up because I wanted to see this matchup, and it's pretty much like the only Washington game I was probably going to watch, and I watched it halfway through, and I saw the final play. It was a joy. I'm going to be completely honest. It was a joy to watch that final play. I've been a part of some great Hail Marys. Sorry, Dion. It was a joy to watch. I love them.
Get rid of the play.
Every time I've seen one, I love them. But, I will say this. You guys hit on it perfectly. The Chicago Bears defense is great. I mean, to hold them to 18 points regardless, like you said, what is it, 11 or 12 without the Hail Mary. Although Jaden Daniels' rib injury, they still held him, right? 21 of 38, not a great completion percentage, only 1 touchdown, a 92.7 quarterback rating. I will say, man, I expect a lot more out of Caleb Williams in this game. The Washington defense isn't the best, and he just looked off the mark all the time. There's a couple plays where, I think he missed an RPO throw. He missed an out route to Keenan Allen. There's just so many throws, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And I don't know if the pressure got to him, number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. I'm not exactly sure. It's going to be... This matchup is going to happen again. 100% in the future, it's going to happen again. So it doesn't write any story for either of these quarterbacks. But, when I look at the statistics in this game, and a lot of people are like, the Bears should have won, I mean, the Washington Commanders kind of dominated on all fronts in terms of stats, like 41 yards, 5 of 15 on third, where the Bears were 2 of 12. The Bears had a turnover, the Commanders didn't. The Bears had 8 penalties, the Commanders had 5. So, albeit they had to win with a Hail Mary, it was still overall a good game. And I would say, if I'm the Bears, I have a little bit of alarm bells, just because, I mean, here, I'll make a comparison. Last year, Jair Alexander made himself a captain before the Panthers game. He walked out there and he's like, I'm going to be the captain and I'm going to go flip the coin. I'm going to go call the coin. He was not told to do that. We suspended him a game after that. He has been perfect track record ever since. I think if the Bears coaching staff and front management had any backbone, they would suspend him for a game. I think that's what they need to do. You say you want to bench him for a game? No, you suspend him for a game. Don't even get on the plane. I don't know if you guys are home or away here, but don't even get on the plane.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think you should do. That's 100% what I think you should do.
And Eberflus doesn't have the backbone for that, unfortunately. Yeah. He is not an alpha coach. And I will say Eberflus has built a great culture. He's built a winning culture at home. But then I look at his record in 3-17 as an away coach. His last win in 2021 on the road, unacceptable stuff. So no, everyone has I don't know where Dan went, so I'm just gonna fill in the time right here. But I could not agree more. And I'm looking at the chat and everyone seems to be on that same page. Like my man, Relentless Mike, 100%. He has been texting me yeah, we need to fire Flus. And, I'm not going to lie. I like the report that, Ben Johnson, maybe. I would like that, Dion. But
Montez Sweat for Ben Johnson?
There Montez Sweat. No.
The opportunity was there. Y'all kept Eberflus.
But Eberflus is not an alpha coach. He will not do something like that. The fans want it. I'm sure other people want it too. But Flus also, he's missing Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. He needs Tyreek Stevenson out there. I would suspend him, no game pay. And and one thing I said, it's going to be in my show tomorrow because I'm breaking down the Cardinals Bears upcoming matchup, is that I wish that you had 3 captains on the field for the Bears on that final play. You had TJ Edwards, you had Tremaine Edmonds, and you had Kevin Byard. As the captains, I would have made that executive decision and pissed off Flus and called the timeout myself. I would have done that. I was hoping to see something like that because Flus clearly was so all over the place. And there are some guys in this league, and I said this earlier on my show this week, is that there are some guys that are truly meant to be just coordinators in this league. And Flus is a great defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio, our 2018 defensive coordinator, great defensive coordinator. Fangio goes to the Broncos, becomes a head coach, not a good head coach. Flus seems to be in that exact same position. I would love to have him as my DC. I think Eric Washington's doing a good job too. But some guys just aren't meant to be head coaches. I think Flus is showing that he's not that. In order to save Flus's dynasty as a head coach, he needs to make the playoffs. And that is a very tough thing to do in the NFC this year.
Can I comment on one thing real quick? And this isn't just This isn't just a Bears thing. Why do so many defenses on a Hail Mary situation not even go to the Hail Mary? Let's go to the play before. Why are you allowing them to get 10 yards on a quick out? Cover the sidelines. Bill Belichick did this perfectly on situations like that.
Yep.
Why are you allowing them to get closer to then have the ball fall perfectly to where you need it? Then on the Hail Mary play, you have to send pressure, dude. They
had a spy, Bass. They had a spy, Bass. He couldn't take off. He can't take off. Where's he going to go?
It's ridiculous.
Wait. So Bass, going off that, because it came out Monday, a lot of people were coming out. I want to say this is there's that unwritten rule that there's no holding on a Hail Mary, right?
Yeah. Essentially, or PI, essentially, unless it's egregious. Yeah.
I hate that rule. And as a football fan, I hate that rule. Because if you go back and look, and I tweeted about it, there was so much. Jacob Martin was held by 3 different offensive linemen on that play. DeMarcus Walker, 2 different ones. DeMarcus Walker got kicked and fell. That's why he fell. I hate that rule so much. As a Bears fan, I absolutely hate it right now. But I've seen it before at the end of games, and it drives me insane. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it absolutely drives me insane.
Well, there's a ton of pass interference going on in the end zone as well. So you got to get rid of both of them if you're getting.
Yeah, well then get rid of both of them. But
they were pushing. They were pushing.
Yeah. Well then make it more exciting and don't have it. But Tyreek Stevenson was supposed to cover 85. Yep. Guess who caught the ball? 85. And like you said too, the assist Literally, like Tyreek Stevenson comes in and tips it and makes it an easier catch for Washington. Just, it was bad, man. It was bad. I am so happy that game is over. I'm happy that it's Wednesday because now we can focus on a new game. But good Lord.
Folks, I'll tell you what, that is a wonderful segue. We have a treat for you tonight. We are actually going to preview the games, all right? And one game just so happens to be a divisional matchup between the Lions and the damn Packers. But I'm not going to start with that one because I know that that's what everyone's looking forward to. We have to talk about some of these other games around the NFC North. And I think we're going to start off with the Vikings and the Colts, man. All right? And so the Vikings are coming off of a 2-game losing streak. And now the Indianapolis Colts, led by Joe Flacco, Shane Steichen, who decided that Anthony Richardson is the next Jamarcus Russell, will not be playing against the Minnesota Vikings. Very excited to hear that out, guys. But before that, obviously, I do need to give a shout out again to the BetUS Sportsbook, guys. As I mentioned, we already have the lines for Week 9 up and ready for each and every single game. Best promo on the market right now. They are matching 150% of your first deposit all the way up to $2,000 if you use code YouTube150 plus 125% of your second and your third. So definitely take advantage of this promo by going to their website and utilizing code YouTube150. One bar. So we want to hear your preview, a brief hot take, and a final score prediction. What do the Vikings need to do to get right against the Indianapolis Colts?
Oh, man, I was hoping Anthony Richardson was playing so damn bad, him and his 5% completion percentage. And then they throw out the old man, Joe Flacco. We just got beat by an old guy, Stafford. So, like, I hate to say it. I'm a little concerned going into this game. I mean, it's at home. It is a must-win for the Vikings. You cannot lose 3 in a row. You lose 3 in a row. Everybody said earlier, alarm bells, yeah, get that thing out and start ringing that thing. But I hate the fact that Joe Flacco's out there. I hate the fact that, I mean, they got a good running game. I mean, it is the Colts. They're 4-4. They're just this weird team. I don't know what to expect against them. I mean, but this is kind of the point of the season we were all looking forward to. We're looking forward to the Rams game. We're looking forward to the Colts game. Like, we beat the Texans. We beat the Niners. We beat the Packers. You can't start all of a sudden going on a 3-game losing streak. It doesn't make sense. But Joe Flacco being back there, yeah, I'm not excited about that. Left tackle, it's going to be interesting. We made the big trade for Cam Robinson. Is he going to play already on Sunday? What's going to go on there? I love the trade. I hope he is playing out there. I mean, he's left tackle. Just put his ass out there and get him blocking. It's going to be a big deal. The Colts defense, not great. They give up a lot of yards on the ground. They give a lot of yards up in the air. So our offense should be able to cook. Like, this is the slump buster. This is the slump buster. Get out there, do your thing, and smoke them. Like, I don't want no 3-point win. The Colts keep it close. They keep it close every damn game. Like the Rams. I said the same thing last week against the Rams. The Rams keep every game close. The Colts do too. I fully expect Jonathan Taylor to get his yards on the ground. We gotta make Joe Flacco look like the old man Joe Flacco. It all comes down to our defense in this game. I'm confident that our offense is going to put up some points, but if we can't get to Joe Flacco and we can pair that up with Jonathan Taylor getting some yards, we're going to be in trouble. So, I mean, we need 3 to 5 sacks in this game, minimum. If Joe Flacco has time and our old secondary is out there and he can pick us apart like we have the last couple of games, it's going to be a concern. I mean, when all is said and done, I think there's so much pressure on this game. Like the coaching staff, they're going to bring it. Aaron Jones, I expect a big game. We need a big game from him. But they know what's lying on this game. And with the Lions, Packers playing, this is a big-time game for the Vikings to move up. So I do expect the Vikings to win, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. It's the last thing I want on a Sunday night is a nail-biter, and I'm up till 3 in the morning just sitting there laying in bed. I got 2017. Vikings win. Too close for comfort, but they're breaking the streak. You can't lose 3 in a row.
Got it. So what you got on that game, Troy?
Man, so, okay. This is a fun one. This is going to be fun because for me, when I look at the Vikings, like the talk was about the defense for a while. I think that the strategy to still beat the Vikings, the best shot that you have is it comes down to you have to slow down Aaron Jones. You got to slow down Aaron Jones, and you got to find some sort of run game. And I think the Rams, did at least half of that last week. They found Kyron Williams, and he came to life a little bit. And the Colts are built to do both of those things, even without Joe Flacco. So I think that alone makes this game competitive. Like this, I don't think it'll be a blowout, even though One Bar hopes. I think it'll be competitive just because of that. But to me, it's like what One Bar said. Stephon Gilmore looked like dude was 45 years old last weekend. All right, I don't know how old he is. My man was getting cooked, 45. And I hadn't seen that yet. It was like, this is a problem. They got some big-time receivers, and this dude's not even close to people. But then you look at the Colts and you're like, okay, but they're super young. And you watch them and Mitchell's kind of getting open sometimes, but not really. Josh Downs cooks. But outside of that, it's like very inconsistent. You just wonder if Flacco's going to bring that to life. And on the flip side, you're like, okay, Jalen Jones at corner. Oh, he looks good now. But then you deal with Justin Jefferson. I think the advantage for the Vikings is in those crucial matchups, they just have more seasoned players that I just know what I'm going to get versus the Colts where I'm just not completely sure. I think Flacco's a much tougher matchup because he'll keep you on schedule. And I don't think this is a great matchup for Minnesota in general to run away with the game because I don't think you can run away from a team that's arguably better or at least very similar on both of the trenches on both sides of the ball. And I think that's how Minnesota, like most good teams, are kind of built throughout. So I think Minnesota wins this football game. That's my lean right now because I think they're better in crucial spots. I'd love to see them lose, but I think they're going to win this football game, One Bar. I think they're getting back into the win category at home.
What you got on that, Bass?
As much as I'd love to sit here and hype up Joe Flacco, shout out University of Delaware, I'd love to, and I think it is their best option right now. I mean, I think when I was looking at the score of the Colts game last week, I think there was a point where Anthony Richardson was 2 of 15, and I think my chat was like, is that real or is my score app glitching? And I looked it up. I was like, no, it's real. So I think Flacco is the best chance for them, and it's still crazy that last year we saw him what he did on the Browns, and then he's still was like a backup to start this year, and I do like him a lot. But I think, like I said earlier when we were talking about the Vikings, it's not alarm bells for them, and I think they get a bounce back win here. 2 straight losses. If they do lose this, 100% alarm bells. I 100% agree. But the Indianapolis pass defense is not good. I think Darnold's going to be able to beat them through the air, and I think Aaron Jones is going to be able to run wild. I mean, what I take from the Colts was what I've seen, and that's the Packers running like 280 yards against them. Maybe they got better against the run since then, but I know Aaron Jones and I know the Colts defense of this year. So I think the Vikings are going to be able to run against them. I'm interested to see how Cam Robinson plugs in at left tackle because Darisaw, I agree, one of the best, if not the best left tackles in the league. Minnesota's great versus the run, in my opinion. So I think if the Colts were to get on rhythm with Jonathan Taylor, that's their recipes for success, but I don't know if they're going to be able to. So as much as I'd love to sit here and be like, Colts win, Joe Flacco, 4 tutties, I think Minnesota wins 31-20.
So what about you, Nick?
I brought it up earlier this week, earlier in the show, that Joe Flacco is like, he just hates the NFC North. He loves to break hearts against us.
Don't do it.
But I will say that it's in Minnesota. Minnesota always under pressure seems to make diamonds. And I got Minnesota winning this game. Like they have to get a bounce back here. This Colts team, we barely lost to them. The Packers barely beat them. Like they're scrappy on defense. They have a good line. I got the Vikings winning this one, but I think it's going to be close. I got 27-24.
And chat. And so we always encourage that you drop your final score predictions in the chat for the Vikings and the Indianapolis Colts as we move on to the next game, which is the Chicago Bears and the Arizona Cardinals. And the Arizona Cardinals is a very mixed bag of a football team. You don't know what team is going to show up any given week. And the Chicago Bears are looking to make a bounce back after the heartbreaker they suffered last Sunday. Nick, thoughts on the preview and the path to victory for your Chicago Bears?
Yeah, walking into this game, Bears have a ton of injuries right now. Montez Sweat didn't practice. Kyler Gordon didn't practice. Tevin Jenkins was limited. Jaquan Brisker's out. A lot of things going on right now with the Bears, not in a good way from an injury perspective. But this team is mad, and they're going to play mad. And in Arizona, the Bears are 3-0. So that's in favor for them. And I will say this, is that Flus knows, we talked about this too. Flus has got a hot seat on him. There's no denial about that. Like, he needs to show that he can coach this league. When Caleb Williams was telling coach, and there's video of it, telling Eberflus to call timeout in the end of that Commanders game, and it's caught on national television, Flus is going to hear it from Kevin Warren, our CEO. He's going to hear it from Ryan Poles. He's going to hear it from the McCaskies, especially in his weekly meeting. So the Bears walking into this game against the 27th ranked defense in Arizona. The offensive line is iffy. Our pass rush, even without Sweat, I mean, Darrell Taylor's been a great pickup this year. They're just going to have to send the house. That's what the Bears need to do. They need to get a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray early. Keep a spy back there because he is quick and can get first downs with his feet. The defense needs to, of course, hold this game for Chicago. But Caleb going against a very bad Arizona defense. They lost their 2 defensive players this past week against the Miami Dolphins, which the Cardinals barely beat the Dolphins, 2-5 Dolphins. I had to shout that out to TD, but he'll see the replay later. I'm feeling like this Bears team is going to come in and play mad, and I'm excited about that. We're going to see some fire from this team. Cole Kmet was fired up, who on National Tight End Day only had 1 reception. Definitely had the meeting earlier this week with Shane Waldron, the offensive leaders of DJ Moore, Mercedes Lewis, and Cole Kmet. I'm feeling better about this game. I think it's a perfect game to bounce back for. I like the Bears, and there's a lot of Bears fans in Arizona. They travel really well. I am feeling confident with our defense can hold the Arizona offense. Just put Jalen Johnson on Marvin Harrison, play him one-on-one all game. Don't let him get by him. I am feeling good about this game. I want the Bears to come out and put a statement on the board. I got them winning 24-17.
24-17 Chicago Bears against the Arizona Cardinals. You heard it here first. One bar. Can the Chicago Bears bounce back against this Arizona Cardinals team?
I'm going to make this quick. And Dan, you nailed it. Like, this Cardinals team is such a mixed bag. It's like you have no idea what to expect. Kyler Murray. And here's the thing. Like, I think the Bears are a better team. But, like, how are they going to bounce back after such a demoralizing loss? Like, let's see what the Bears are made of. This is their moment. Let's see what they do after such a horrible loss. And to be honest, with the coaching staff, like, I'm not buying into it. Like, they got to prove it. Like, I don't see how they can bounce back after this. Nick, you said it right. I mean, Eberflus he's just kind of a pushover. Like, I don't see him coming out and getting these guys all fired up. Like, come on, man, we're better than that. Let's do this. Like, until they prove that, and maybe they will. Like I said, I think they're the better team. I'm not going to pick the Bears until they can do that. And, the Cardinals, they do have some good players, and they are a mixed bag. So I got Cardinals 17-13. Not a great game. I probably won't tune in too much of it until afterwards, but like, this is the Bears moment. This is their season. If they lose this game, the Bears, in my mind, the Bears, they're done. If they come out and just absolutely whoop up on the Cardinals and say, you know what, last week we stepped on our hog. It's over. We're better than that. This is their moment. But right now I got them losing.
Damn. Bass, what do you got?
One bar. I mean, I agree with you, man.
Damn.
When we're talking about this, not only on the show, but the softness of Matt Eberflus, and it seems like, the players are not like in coordination with him and stuff. And then today I see a video of Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon screaming something out of his car. I'm not going to say it verbatim, but that seemed like the energy you'd want from an Eberflus, right? And the Cardinals are a mixed bag, but the main difference here is throughout the entire NFL through 8 weeks, the Cardinals have, in terms of the current schedule, has played the hardest schedule in the NFL. The Bears the easiest. So I think the Cardinals are a mixed bag, but they played with a lot of tough football teams. Murray just coming off a great game against the Dolphins, and I think if they do shadow Jalen Johnson on Marvin Harrison, that's definitely something that they should do. But if it's going to be, Stevenson back there, how is he going to respond? You know what I mean? Against Marvin Harrison had a good game. And also, one of the main things I have here is Chicago's not good against tight ends. I was saying it before the Washington game that I thought Zach Ertz was going to have a big day, and he was their second leading receiver. And you got McBride coming up, and he's a lot better tight end receiving-wise than Zach Ertz. And he's coming off a game with 124 yards. So I think that's where the Cardinals are going to be able to move the football. And then also, Kyler Murray has 3 straight games without a sack. And I think the Chicago defense, great as it is, does strive on getting pressure, getting the quarterback on the ground. And Murray's probably the best at this rate in the NFL at evading that. So I agree with one bar in the fact that I just don't know if they have that in them to have that aggressive punchback. And I'm not going to believe it until I see it. So I have Arizona 21-20, another game-winning field goal.
Damn. All right, Troy.
Yo,
So what you got in that notepad, man?
Honestly, man, this is kind of depressing. I'm not going to look, man. The chat's turned on Nick. The energy's down. Everybody's taking Arizona. I think there's Bears fans taking Arizona. I don't know what's going on. Jordy's bringing up Call of Duty. Look, maybe that's the hope. Black Ops 6 is popping right now, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe Kyler Murray's lost. That's a possibility. No, look, man, I'm gonna pull this thing back. I don't think this game's gonna be close, Nick. I'm on your side with this one. I think you guys are gonna smack the Cardinals. Like, I look at it like this. That defense that I thought was tricky, like I said, hey, they couldn't get into the end zone against that Bears defense. I don't think this Kyler Murray and this offense is anywhere near kind of as efficient as that Washington Commanders team can be. I don't think Kyler Murray is going to have any kind of success with his legs in this game. I think the Bears are going to come with a great plan. I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do much in this game whatsoever in this game. I just don't think they're going to put up any points. Now, I guess the concern is like, will Chicago put up points? I mean, Arizona did beat Sanford, and that's the thing that stuck in the back of my mind. Like, they did beat Sanford. Maybe I should take Arizona. But I think Chicago scores more than enough here to win. I think they'll be able to run the football. They'll be comfortable in this game because they can run the football against this team, and the secondary for Arizona is still not that good. In my opinion, they're just young back there. So overall, I think Chicago wins this by 2 scores.
Chicago wins this by 2 scores. I'm sure that puts a smile on Nick's face. He's really hoping to be able to flex on one bar and Bass after a hopeful bounce-back victory from Chicago. Now, folks, it's about that damn time. It is the divisional matchup preview time. We have the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers facing off against each other. Who comes out on top? We are going to have to see. But I will tell you what, I have noticed that there is currently 463 of you on YouTube right now watching us. We really appreciate you guys making this a part of your Wednesday routine, joining us, man. So please, please, please do us a favor. There is no excuse why we can't have 400 like buttons smashed by the end of this stream. And again, hate to sound like a broken record, but we are now on audio. If you can do us a favor and be kind, go on ahead and hit that link at the pinned comment of this chat and go give us a 5-star rating over on Spotify. We are on audio now in case any of you guys are missing this episode, the live rendition. Would much rather listen to it in the car ride to work the following morning or save it for Friday. Certainly go help us out over there and leave us a 5-star rating over on Spotify and give us a follow. But damn, those Detroit Lions and Packers. All right. And I'm going to have to start off with Troy on this one since he is on top of the NFC North coming off of an impressive victory. Troy, thoughts, preview, prediction, analysis. What's the pathway to victory for the Detroit Lions to defeat the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, I'm fired up for this one. And just a real quick question before we get into this. What's the Evan Williams, he's expected to play this weekend? That's the expectation, right?
So he hurt his hamstring pregame before the Jags game, and they just let him go. And I watched I was watching coach's film, and I watched his last play. It was on the Trevor Lawrence read option touchdown. Like, nothing happened. So I think they just pulled him. Like, all right. Like, he said, "Oh, I feel it." So I think he'll play.
Yeah. Okay. And I think you made a great point because I'm watching it. That feels like it changes a lot for that team. Look, man, overall, I'm fired up for this one. This is the game that I've been waiting for. The additions that we made this offseason, because just being honest here, coming into the year, now again, the Vikings have surprised me. I thought the Bears would be competitive. But like going back to the offseason, what we had seen last year for the Packers, where they got to at the end of the year, this was the team on the mind. Like as a Lions fan, it was like, okay, how are we going to deal with this team? Because we coming off a loss to this team on Thanksgiving at our house. We were getting pounded at one point in that game. I mean, I don't even remember what the final score was, but that was the game that stuck with us, I think, as Lions fans within the division, because we ended on a really good note by winning the division. And to me, I'm fired up to see how we match up in the back end, right? We should be coming in healthy into this game against those receivers. I want to see Jordan Love play in this game. I hope that he's healthy and it's not like one of those things where he's messed up and he has to come in and out. I want to see him legitimately play. I want to see what this looks like matchup-wise for us. And I think we have the personnel that's going to make life difficult for their passing attack. That being said, though, like we saw last week against Jacksonville, dude, they get guys open. And Romeo Doubs is just taking over as like, I'm wide receiver 1. I'm a problem. So I'm just fired up to see that entire matchup across the board. And then I flip it around. As Bass said with the injury there, I think that secondary without him, it's huge. I think it changes a lot. But when he is in there, you're trying to find these matchups, and you don't see as much of Eric Stokes then at that point, who seemed to have some struggles. Like, where are we going to find our answers? Every time I watched the Packers, I always felt like, man, they were so fast at kind of passing off routes in zone. And I watched that Xavier McKinney interception. You're thinking like, okay, that guy's going to pull him off on the play. He's gone. Nope, he just sits down and picks it off. And you're like, that's the Packers that I know. That's where they're dangerous. But overall, I'll say this, Dan, I think we match up really well for this team. I think we are one of the better teams to stop the run.
thought Houston did a lot of good things against their run game. And I think our secondary is going to be such a massive part, especially if it's Malik Willis. It's going to be such a massive part of the run support because so much of their, wide receiver runs are going to stretch you horizontally. So just being prepared for all of that. I think Green Bay's going to put up points, but I think when it matters most in the red zone, I think we have the personnel to match up. I think we'll take the football away. I think Jordan Love will give us one. And I think on the flip side, we'll probably give the ball away once too. I think that's just what it's set up to be. I think that's who the Packers are, especially if they have to throw a ton in this game. This is going to be competitive, but I like the Lions in this one, man, and I just think that we match up well. I think that we'll win in a very close game. I think this is not going to be like a comfy, we're hanging on by 10 points towards the end. I don't think it'll go down like that. I think this is going to be a close, potentially last possession type of win for us. So right now I'm kind of leaning like 24-20 Lions in this game, maybe scoring on the last possession, getting a stop, getting us off the field, and that's how it ends.
And so I have to ask you this too, Troy, because you know what? So I understand that you've been a Lions fan your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Is this feeling new to you? Obviously last year, this Lions team finally ended up making to the NFC Championship. Is this still something that you're getting used to, or has it finally set in that you have a damn team?
Man, I feel like last year in the playoffs, it kind of settled in before the Niners game because I thought we were going to smoke the Niners, and then we were smacking them at halftime, and I was like, oh, this team is really that good. It's the fact that they've done it now 2 straight years, Dan. 5-1 last year was weird. It's like we're 5-1. What's going on? And now we're 6-1. It's just weird. It doesn't look right, to be honest. The record doesn't make any sense. I remember in years past, we got to 6-3. It was like, yo, we're cooking. We're gonna be a problem. You see us in that playoff picture when they go to the little overlay during the NBC broadcast on Sunday Night Football. Now it's like we've separated ourselves. So it's weird, but at the same time, I think I'm still locked into we got to take this one at a time because our division has kind of humbled everybody to you can't just, you're going to ride away with it. It's not like, we're the Patriots at one point where they're just rolling through the division. Our division is so loaded. It's the best teams in the NFC. So now we get to the second half of the schedule where all our division games are laid out. It's like, bro, all these games matter double. These are all basically double. So I think that's kind of humbled it to week by week. But Dan, it's really weird, man. It's weird. We could be talking about clinching a playoff spot in about 5 weeks. It's crazy.
Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, Bass. What's your preview? What's your prediction, expectations, a path to victory for the Green Bay Packers? Talk to us.
Dion, real quick. You guessed a 24-point victory. Is that the same if Willis plays, or are you changing that?
Yeah, I'd probably change it. I think if we play Malik Willis, it's a more comfortable win. I'd probably take a 7+ in that point. I'd rather, from a winning perspective, I'd rather see Malik Willis, but I do want to see Love and see how that plays out.
See, I'm gonna give a rebuttal to that because I think it could be Malik Willis, and I think a lot of people are gonna point to injuries in this game, and I don't want to use them as an excuse because every team plays through injuries, like every team has injuries, but you see on the main injury front, you got Jordan Love, groin injury, probably won't practice all week. You got Evan Williams, which we talked on, that's going to be a massive. You got Jair Alexander as well with a knee injury. He didn't practice today, so if you were without one of those two, I think that's huge, right? You monitor St. Brown. The Lions draw up some great concepts, and if you don't have both your safeties back there, X can only do so much. Then you have Josh Jacobs on the injury report. He didn't practice today, but he after practice, he's pretty much like, I'm playing. So I think that's massive for the Packers. And the one thing that I'm looking at this game, and I'm going, I think the Packers' recipe for success might honestly be better with Malik Willis, and I'm not trying to say that Jordan Love is not our best chance to win when 100%, because he is. And when he's 100%, you put him in the football game. But I think what you want to do against the Detroit Lions is try to keep the ball out of their hands. When you look at their team right now, they're number 1 in scoring. They just overtook the Commanders this week. They're 33.4 points per game. When you look at their last 4 games, the points they scored, 42, 47, 31, 52. Last week, a lot of it's just weird, so I don't even know how to explain that. The Packers are also a high-scoring football team, 6th, 27 points per game, and that's pretty impressive with 2.5 games with a backup quarterback. But if you're going to get in a shootout with the Detroit Lions, you are going to lose. So I think Malik Willis at the helm, you go and watch a couple things that the Packers did against the Colts and Titans, and albeit they are not the Detroit Lions, but they kind of leaned into, and even at the end of the Jaguars game, leaned into an identity of a power run football team with Malik Willis, Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks. And I think Matt LaFleur just sets up a different game plan with that in mind. And I think that kind of helps the Packers for a potential, for the Lions game here. And I think the run defense is also huge. And I saw comments earlier in the chat, like right when we started, it was like Lions run defense is great. In terms of total yardage, yes, but they also allowed 4.7 yards per carry. That's
23rd in the NFL in terms of yards per carry. So the Lions are up early, so teams don't run. But when they do, they get 4.7 yards per carry. So I think the Packers will have success running the football, and doing so also keeps the ball out of the air, where you have ball hawks such as Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, two probably the best safety duo in the NFL. Like, we can all agree on that. People would agree that Brian Branch is the best safety with X. Like, both of those guys, top of the NFL. So if you keep the ball out of the air with those guys flying around, I think that's your recipe for success there. If it was Jordan Love, I still am confident in the Green Bay Packers, but I have a win both ways. I have a win for the Packers both ways, and I think it's going to be a legacy Matt LaFleur game. And I printed out this picture because every single person picked the Lions. Every single person on there. And I'm just saying, save that picture. And maybe they don't win, but for every single person to pick the Lions, when we're talking about in Lambeau against a 6-2 football team that's found ways to win with a backup quarterback, 2.5 games, that's disrespectful, regardless of what the Lions have been doing. And it's disrespectful to Matt LaFleur as a head coach. So with Jordan Love, I got 35-28 Packers. With Malik Willis, I got 24-17.
Damn. Love to hear it. All right, Nick.
The crazy talk, but I got you.
So, all right, listen, we're going to go to the divisional rivals and see their take on this one. Go ahead.
So, Baz, record as Malik Willis as a starter.
2-5, no, but it's regard. Yeah. What?
No. I'm just asking. I'm asking. I'm asking. It was a real question
For the Packers.
For the Packers.
Yeah, like 2. I mean, 3-0 if you're considering like what happened at the final when he's playing in a game. 3-0, but he played half the game last week.
I think it's a factor. They win with him. They find ways to win. That's all I'm going to say. But all good things come to an end. I'm going to make this quick. Lions are going to win. I think that Detroit just has too many weapons. Like we said this at the beginning of the season, is that Detroit is going to become the team that we know them to be later in the year, and they're hot right now. They're doing what they got to do. They're dominating teams they should dominate. It's going to be a good game though, but Detroit's going to win this one. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I got the Lions winning this one, 42, Green Bay 38.
A high-scoring matchup. Last but not least, to put the cherry on top, one bar.
Yeah, Baz, I'm glad you said that. As far when it comes down to the quarter, like, to me, this doesn't come down to who plays quarterback for the Packers as far as who wins this game, because obviously they each bring a different wrinkle to it. And Willis has been damn good, and what Willis hasn't done so far is thrown an interception. So that's a big thing for the Packers, but. Like, it doesn't come into that. I don't think, regardless, there's any excuse as far as, Love didn't play, that's why we lost. Like, I think Packers fans would probably mostly agree with that. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a damn good matchup. Lions highest scoring in the NFL. Packers like 7th. Packers first in takeaways. Lions, I believe, are like top 5 in takeaways. I mean, they're right there with the Packers as well. They both run the ball damn well. But I'm not even going to get into it anymore. Like, the Lions, I think, are going to do some business. The Lions have just been so damn good. They've been so damn good. And I do expect it to be like relatively close. This is going to be 52 to whatever the Titans had. I think the Packers keep it close, and then right at the end, the Lions pull away a little bit. I got Lions 34-27. If the Packers actually win this game, I will be shocked. I will be shocked. I can't see any way that the Lions walk away with an L. And maybe that's just because I need the Packers to lose and I need the Vikings to win on Sunday. Maybe I'm going more with my heart than my head, but like, Lions should win. So I got them winning by 34-27.
And the Lions should win. You heard it here first. Well, folks, we have to thank you for tuning in to yet another edition of the NFC North Roundtable. So humbling to see that you guys make this a part of your weekly routine to join us each and every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST. Sincerely enjoy all of your takes in the live chat as well. And we're always here to bring you the best possible production as humanly possible. This show is powered by BetUS. Once again, definitely take advantage of that awesome promo that we have highlighted all week. Do us a favor and go give us a rating on Spotify. That link is still pinned at the top of the chat by itself. And more importantly, please do us a favor and subscribe to each and every single one of our panelists' individual channels. They do a wonderful job. And if you enjoy trolling them in the live chat of the NFC North Roundtable, just imagine how much fun you would have trolling them on their individual live game play-by-play reactions. Certainly go give them a little bit of love. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.